Chevron and Jaconde. This one had a lot of trash in it, so just fell. There's trash all over the place. But better the trash than petrol. Exactly, that will blow up and burn, roast people alive. Damilola, where do we begin? Speaking of trankers and traffic, I sent you a message. Lagos, me and the analysts, we talk over the weekend, or in fact, the day before the show starts. We're talking about end of year parties in Lagos and whether they are an illusion of prosperity or an escape from stress. Because Saturday was horrible because of a number of end of year parties that were taking place with a lot of corporations. Tire Lekki blocked. People didn't get home until 2, 3 a.m. Innocent people who were just leaving from work. Now, Apapa is still horrible, right? Imports coming in are still stuck. Poverty level is rising. We're seeing more beggars on the streets. Corporations are still struggling. But when you look at these festivities at the end of the year, it's like everything is rosy. What do you think? Is it an illusion of prosperity, or is it just an escape from stress? Do we still need these end of year parties to cool off for the entire year? What do you think?
Well, for me, I think it's an escape from stress. Like you mentioned, this I mean, the major problems are still here with us.
Nothing has changed.
You mentioned the Apapa, you mentioned the traffic as well. The roads are bad. Yeah, but then when you think about it as well, Nigerians are very hardworking people. Most people work very early in the morning up until very late in the night.
Yes.
And
we deserve to go home on time,
yeah,
without a party keeping us stuck on the road.
Yeah, and they've been doing that whole year. So I think from the company's perspective, it's just a way of saying thank you to their staff members, and also having time together and releasing themselves of stress. My company had a wonderful end of the year party on
But you didn't block
Friday.
But you didn't block the road. Did you block?
Yeah, we didn't block the road.
Yeah, ARM did not block the road. Thank you, ARM, for not blocking.
We didn't block the road, but it was a good time,
Yeah.
to share with colleagues and to bond, and like I said again, an escape from stress.
Something we should be conversant of. ARM, of course, you guys are still doing well. You are a financial services firm. You're giving investment advice, so you always have demand for your services. I think it's important to point out that not all companies. We should do a report. There's no report on how many end of year parties done. Whether the same number of companies that had end of year parties, say in 2013, were the same ones after the recession. I'm sure there's a reduction, but we should be careful to point out it's mostly banks and financial services firms that are having these parties. Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing again is, like you said, from 2013 till now, you notice that the entertainment industry has grown massively.
Yeah.
So I think that also accounts for why you see, that mad rush for activities in the Yuletide period. I mean, even aside corporate events, if you even check the schedule for various concerts and events, you discover that at least on the average from December 1st to the end of the year, you have on average about 3 shows happening every year. So that just points to the fact that even aside the fact that Nigerians like to unwind, the entertainment industry is booming, and it's booming massively.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. But then we can also have a conversation about the number of Nigerians that can afford to pay for these tickets. But that's another one. All right, we already have messages here. We're going to go into the Economic Advisory Council next because I love this headline from Business Day. MI from Akoka, it's the vanity economy, aka Dirty December. Keeping up with festivities, not necessarily as a reward of profitability, with few exceptions though. A lot of business capital and investment funds drowned in what I call sunk costs. Thank you for that. MI. Let's see here. Ibrahim. What is Ibrahim's message? Okay, we've got more messages coming in. But Ibrahim says, it is coincidental that we've seen quite a number of significant policies, border closure, point of sale charges, increase in cash deposits and withdrawal charges since that committee was formed. Okay, he's referring to the Economic Advisory Council. Their job is advisory. They don't have to take public credit for doing their job. Their employer, General Buhari, he's calling him General too, takes credit by effecting the ideas. These guys are like submarines. Okay, we're going to get into that now. Abby said, trash truck. Abby just also pointed out the truck that fell between Chevron and Jaconde. RE end of year parties is to keep up with a better year to come. Okay, so hopeful is a hopeful vibe to what Abby is saying. Yinka says end of year parties Illusions or stress relief? Guess what? I don't think it falls under any of the two. Some staff feel a sense of entitlement to end the end of the year parties. Hence, the companies too fall in line so that staff won't have to ask the real question of how did we perform this year financially. So let's keep hiding. Why do end of year parties when you can call them? Why do we have end of year parties when we can just give? Why do you have end of year parties when you can just give bonuses? That's from Yinka. Okay, let's get into this Economic Advisory Council. We already read a message from Ibrahim here. This is the headline, and I'll read the first paragraph, Lagos. So 88 days after, effectiveness of Economic Council comes into question. This is from Business Day. First paragraph, almost 3 months after President Buhari inaugurated the Economic Advisory Council to help lift the Nigerian economy from sluggish growth, economic analysts are questioning the effectiveness of the council. Dami, one of the reasons is that we haven't heard from them, right? They're superstars on this thing. When the news came out, everybody was excited. What's going on now?
Yeah, I said it before on the show that I'm not sure they have the liberty, to come to the public to speak or to reveal some of their advice, to the president. But then, notwithstanding, the expectation from the Economic Advisory Council is very, very high, given the state of the economy at the moment.
Yeah.
Nigeria's economic growth has been stuttering, and one of the major chair, when they saw the list, the list of people nominated for the Economic Council was that these people are well renowned and they are known for their individual achievement and contribution, to the overall economy as a whole. So we are all looking to see what they will do. But then I'll also say it's early days as well. Most of the problem facing Nigeria are key issues, that would take a while to manifest.
Yeah.
I give you an example, like the infrastructural challenges we have. It would take a while. It would take beyond 88 days, to start seeing these things come to play. So I would just say we should give them some time. And to see how things go, because the expectation is very high, and the members of the committee, Bismarck Riwani, Doing Salami, and
big names, man.
Yeah, these are big names.
They're pure economists,
and their names are on the line, and I want to believe they will do so much, to protect their names.
Okay. So reputation is also on the line. Then it's qualified people. We hope so. You want to give them more time, reasonable. All right, more messages here. Modupe says, Rotus, please, a number of companies were unable to give their staff rice this year. Please don't cancel their parties. So no, Modupe, I'm not saying we should cancel parties. Plus, a number of companies are still doing fine despite the economic conditions. And yes, if we can afford Chioma B, people are still going to go for shows. That is from Modupe. Let's see. Chika sends a message. Chika says, good morning, guys. It's an escape from stress. So it is an end of year parties as we don't know how 2020 will be. And damn it, 2020, we are as we've been saying it, we are in for it. Emo from Ikeja. End of year parties are just cultural. Even if there's no money, some people will still throw big parties. You feel me? Okay. What else do we have? There's still a number of messages. Let's see. Yinka, what are you saying here? This Rotus is just wicked. This one, Yinka, they are superstars. So what happens? See, this country has a way of making superstars appear like dummies. Take, for instance, our presidential media guys who did well in the private sector, only to get to Aso Rock and turn to something else. It's not today that we know that Nigeria doesn't respect basic rules in economics. This is Yinka. He's asking, that's the question he ends with. So he's talking about the Economic Advisory Council and how the superstars have been a bit muted. But Dami is saying to give them some time. Darlington from Apapa says, good morning. The Economic Advisory Council that can't persuade General Buhari. You guys are on this general thing, eh? Good morning, Economic Advisory Council that can't persuade General Buhari to open our land borders, not to continuously stifle the economy. Is that one an Economic Council? Besides, devaluation stares us in the face. Darlington has been on this devaluation thing steadfastly for a while, but I will admit, me too, I've also been on it. All right, let's move, Dami, to the loan deposit ratio. There's a debate that is out there. The central bank has been celebrating the fact that, what is it now? It was 60% July to October, then 65% October to December. Now we're hearing they might be pushing to 70%, although I don't believe we've still seen anything from them. It was Nairametrics that was, or was it the Vanguard, I believe. Vanguard was saying that they might push the LDR, which is the loan deposit ratio, to 70%. Dami, the talk now is that, first of all, the IMF came out with a warning. Now Business Day has followed up with that. A number of people are whispering here and there. can the central bank force banks, because that's essentially what this is, they're forcing them, or you can say they are persuading them, if you want to use lighter language, to lend to an economy that is still not quite in full gear? That is the debate. So let's discuss this now, because I think loans went up by what, 1 trillion naira, 1.1 in the last 3 months. So, but people are still saying, come, be careful, oh, it looks like you get a bounce. Yeah, you're pushing money out there, but can you force these people to lend to companies that are not quite doing that well? So what do you think?
Yeah, it's from my side. I think I if you look at the way the banks have operated in the past years, most of their earnings have come from non-core banking operation. Yeah, I mean, you've seen most of them book massively, from trading investment securities, which are not the core banking function. The core banking function, is to lend and make a spread from doing that. So I think, in part, while I mean, the major reason why CBN is trying to push the bank to lend, one is to make them focus on their core function, and two, on the side, is also to indirectly, spoil economic growth.
Yes.
Because it's believed that if you boost credit to private sector, which could be from the banks, you would see increased economic activities. But then, looking at the economic environment, particularly Nigeria's case, for instance, where you still have major underlying issues as regarding infrastructure, power, and also dwindling crude oil prices, which tend to affect players in the oil and gas industry. Then I think there is a major issue with trying to force banks to do that. Because coming from 2016-17, where we saw most banks, face very big asset quality issues. Then if we see the central bank pushing for higher LDR, then we might return to that regime where we had banks carry very high NPL ratios in their book, which in turn is not very good, given the state of AMCON and given how much non-performing loans AMCON is carrying at the moment. So to me, I just think it's a cycle. One, we're trying to boost economic growth, but on the other hand, if not done properly, we're also creating problems for ourselves
down the line.
So
there are some comments here. I think it was a business. There was one analyst who actually didn't want to. This is funny. Lagos, you should read this article. The way Business Day put it, they said an analyst spoke anonymously to Business Day because they didn't want to be seen as challenging the central bank. Oh man, that made me chuckle. But the anonymous analyst did say that if the economy was doing well, you wouldn't have to lend to these firms, right? They wouldn't have to force it. But anyway, thank you for that. All right, more messages here. Benga Kamu. Surviving to the end of the year is enough cause for a party, but the grind is going to be tougher in 2020. I think it now goes on to the Economic Advisory Council. Without the political will to do the structural changes to transform the Economic Council is just a bulldog without teeth. It then goes on to the LDR ratio. Benga says, do you know how many defaults there are on bank loans? How many investments have gone into the gutter because businesses fail due to the nature of the economy? What do you do? Those are some strong questions there from Benga. Dakbo Banjo says, hello Rotus, the parties are clearly an escape strategy. Nigerians will still go back to meet their problems. 2020 is waiting for us. Chika says, I think the EAC should resign. Their names will be tainted with the poor policies that this administration has been making with respect to the economy, border closure, POS, online payment, and so on and so forth. Henry Emmanuel, this Economic Advisory Council thing is just a waste of time. Our president appears very scornful of settled economic logic. Paul Volcker, who recently passed, occupied a similar advisory role under Obama when he advised him and developed the Volcker rule, which prohibited proprietary trading. And proprietary trading, of course, is where banks use, proprietary trading was set up for banks to use separate money for engaging in more risky trading. Let's stop copying a beg, is what Henry Emmanuel says. Okoro says, making much funds available to companies via overdrafts makes them lazy in managing their receivables. Believe it or not, it does. So Okoro is also talking about the LDR ratio and lending to the economy, whether that's going to work. Let's see now. Shall we touch on Q3 trade statistics? Somebody sent me a tweet on, was it Friday, asking us to talk about this. What are the big takeaways that we see from the trade statistics? I think one of the biggest ones I saw is that Ghana overtook India as our biggest trading partner, which now, of course, brings in a conversation of the border closure. But anyway, before we even get there, anything else that jumped out at you for our Q3 trade statistics from the MBS, the Bureau of Statistics?
I think for me that was the most interesting part.
Yeah.
Because over the past years, India has been our biggest trading partner, especially on the export side.
Yeah.
But then surprisingly, we saw Ghana come into the picture. I think Ghana's contribution. Ghana's contribution to our export is about 17.5%
Right.
overtaking India at about 15.5 or thereabout, which is impressive. And then to what you mentioned as well, for me, I feel that wouldn't have been possible if not for the border closure, because since the border closure, Nigeria now gets to capture the actual trades that are done. And most of the illegal trades, are out of the way. And if this continues, it might actually be good for us in the future. Because what I hear is, aside increased contribution of trade from Ghana, I also hear in terms of custom and excise duty as well, Nigeria has also made some gains, on that front. So while we have, losses to record on the border closure in terms of inflation and the likes, there are also gains made on that front as well.
Dami, I appreciate you taking another side to this, because I've openly told them I don't support this border closure, and I would argue with you about this, but that's fine. I appreciate you looking at it from that angle. Ayo has given us the air traffic control signals. So, but real quick, top 5 exports for Q3: Ghana, India, Netherlands, Spain, and USA. Nigeria still has to increase intra-African trade. Dami, very quickly, I think we run out of time, but let's take this message from Catherine from Bagada. Good morning, guys. Sorry to take you back. Please, what is the consensus or the TIN matter, tax identification number? The Joint Tax Board, it's on the website. We've already settled it. You can just go on there, Catherine, put in either your BVN or I can't remember what the other number is. I'll send you the link on WhatsApp, but you can go and get your TIN. Everybody has a TIN because your employer is paying taxes on your head. So you have a TIN number already and everything's fine. Ni Yinka Adenike, I see some other messages coming. We can't take them, run out of time, but we'll be back tomorrow. Business Express, the top show, even more than Freshly First. Smooth the day for one FM. Dami from ARM, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your messages. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. That was solid. 20 minutes.